All right, what's going on, Pre-PT Nation? So excited to be able to have this fantastic opportunity to talk with my man Edwin. Edwin, how we doing, my friend?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. And Edwin's going to get to share a little bit more about himself as we go throughout this interview, but you got some fantastic news. And since the moment we jumped on the call, man, you haven't been able to get that smile off your face. So without keeping people in too much hesitation, go ahead and introduce yourself to other pre-PTs that are watching this. Just give them a little bit about your background and kind of leading up to when you decided to apply to physical therapy school.
Yes, yes. Hi, everyone. My name's Edwin Molina. I'm 22 years old. I'm originally born in El Salvador. I was born there. I came and moved to the States at a young age and practically grew up here. I think my journey and growing up here as a Latino immigrant and just being exposed to the American culture from a young age, that and then just growing up and being um, diving into things that I liked more and finding out that sports and helping people was things that I really wanted to I like to do. That's how physical therapy always kind of sparked my interest. And the closer I got into college and now older, I really realized that that was emphasized even more through my experiences that I had working in different physical therapy settings. And yeah, ultimately I applied for that reason, and I'm blessed to say that I got accepted into all the schools I applied to. One being my first choice at Indiana University-Indianapolis, and yes, I'll be starting this May of 2025. So really excited.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And to get the home run, right? To get into every school you applied to, what kind of, I don't know, validation did that give you about all the hard work that you put in that you were able to get into every school you applied to?
Oh my gosh, it gave me so much validation, especially like I said, as being an immigrant here in the country. It brought so much validation of like not just my hard work, but my parents' like sacrifices and hard work moving here, that everything they did was worth it. And it made me just feel validated that the hard work, especially these past 4 years in college, where I really discovered a lot about myself, and I stuck deep and like pushing through hard semesters, tough classes, discouraging classes for pre-PT that you don't want to get through, but you realize that's the only way that going through these classes and getting these outside experiences of physical therapy is the only way you'll achieve your goal if you're really serious about being a physical therapist. So yes, it gave me 100% a lot of validation, and it felt really good. So
For sure, man, for sure. So I don't, you might have to remind me here, but in terms of your family,
Mhm.
where are you at in terms of like, do you have a lot of siblings that have gone on to do higher level education? Or are you kind of a trailblazer in that front?
Yeah, I'm technically, yeah, I'm the first gen in my family. Um, College, I have a other family member that went to college back in El Salvador. But yeah, here in the States, first gen. So I was really kind of me trying to figure it out all on my own here growing up, and especially like the education system growing up here as well, and just yeah, career goals of what I want to do, how I want to achieve it. So yeah, yeah, kind of like the first one.
That's awesome, man. Congrats. What did your parents have to say when you were able to tell them about all the good news that was coming your way?
They were thrilled. It was definitely an emotional moment shared between all of us. I think that's kind of the happiest I've felt seeing them, like being proud about myself. I've always kind of been a very serious person, go-getter, and I'm always kind of thinking this past 4 years of, what was the next task ahead after I completed one and the other, just because I always had the mindset, that job isn't finished, and it's still not until, I become a physical therapist, right? But I sometimes try not to be too serious and try to celebrate the small wins, and this was definitely one to celebrate, and yeah, it was an emotional moment, but felt really good to see them proud of me. So
Well, and how I mean, I can only imagine like I've got three kids, three girls, and
hmm
I can only imagine all the sacrifices that your parents made leaving El Salvador, coming to the US, like this is why they did it, right? Is so you can have experiences and opportunities like you have now. And how cool that is to be able to arrive at that and to have that their dreams kind of come to fruition. Like you said, we're not done yet,
yeah.
but it's absolutely a milestone that you should be celebrating, giving yourself a pat on the back. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so let's get to you did a great job kind of introing like what got you interested in PT, your background.
Mhm.
Let's get into you're getting ready to apply and you're like, shoot, I feel like I need some extra help with my application. How did you find us and what
Yeah.
difference do you feel like physical therapy application coach made in your application?
Yeah, so I'll answer how I found you first. So I found physical therapy application coach. I think it was just years ago, just going on social media, trying to find any sort of like pre-PT resources. And I think I found it on scrolled on TikTok or on Instagram. And from there I always just followed and just kept following the posts and latest things of information that you would share because you would always share great resources. And this was probably years ago, probably like my sophomore year of college. So yeah, of course, wasn't ready yet to apply to physical therapy school, but knowing that that was the end goal in mind, I wanted to try to find the best resources to set myself up for success. And so yeah, and then throughout my undergrad, I like to think that, I really found ways to kind of succeed early on with finding the best study habits, finding the best ways to network, and get experience for physical therapy. So after my 4 years and heading into this PT admission cycle, I felt pretty confident in the application I brought forth already. But I wanted to take it a step further and kind of make my application be one that admissions from schools wouldn't have a doubt about. And yeah, so following physical therapy application coach, seeing the great work you did and the how you would promote helping with essays. I think it was one of your videos you had said, kind of think about this like as an investment. And that clicked for me automatically. I was like, if I want my application to be the top and have leave the admissions with no doubt, then, I think this is way 100% worth the investment. So that's the way I looked at it. And it made absolutely a difference for me because I think I've learned throughout undergrad how to write essays, but I think yours the way that you taught me out how to write the essays, it definitely taught me how to write it in a way that's good for applications. It really showed me how I think what always stuck with me was I think it was the neuro cocktail, was it?
The neurotransmitter cocktail, baby.
Yeah, yes, I think just that alone it described the best way to write essays, especially for admissions, getting into grad school because yeah, it made the essay really flow in a coherent way, making it interesting also rather than just plain and boring. So yes, I think that 100% like taught me a new way of how to really just share my story in the best way possible. So yeah, you guys have done like awesome work for me and I'm really appreciative of it. So
That's awesome, man. Well, and I think one of the things that I loved about what you shared is there's a lot of pre-PTs that are like, I've done enough, right? And there does come a point when it's like, all right, if I go and I get extra shadowing hours, or if I retake a class and I go from like a B plus to A minus, like, is it really going to make that big of a difference? But you said, I don't want to leave any chips off the table. Like, I'm going all in on this. I'm
yeah,
investing in myself. I'm investing in my future. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work with Sean and Jenna and be able to have that success, right? And on the flip side of that, like, look at what that brought you. You put in all this hard work ahead of time, and then you get the ability to be able to package and share your story in a way that it sticks with people. So a lot of applicants I'll find they do all the work ahead of time, but then they don't know how to put it together and make it into a narrative that people it sticks with them and that they
yeah,
want to be like, oh man, we got to invite Edwin to our program. We got to see, we got to bring him down for an interview. We got to talk to him, right? And that is what led to this process is getting you you putting in all the hard work, us taking all the hard work that you did and making it into a compelling story that is engaging for people. And
mhm,
then, boom, you sharing that and having those skills with all your supplementals and other things like that with your application. So that's awesome. And I think it's great that you see the value in the investment that it's worth and how that pays dividends because you had options of where to go
yeah.
and to be able to decide on that.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I'd like to say that one part that probably pre-PTs don't think as important of as their application is the essay part. Like really, that's the one part that you can show admissions. Um, your personality and you as a person before you even get to the interview, right? It gives you it shows more of you as a person, as your character, rather than just a number of an applicant with, a GPA attached to your name, right? Like it really helps you stand out if you use the essay to your advantage. So yeah.
For sure. And I think in our experience too, just to echo what you're saying, I think applicants who don't take the essay seriously, it does not really, I mean, it doesn't necessarily drag them down.
Yeah.
But if you do take it seriously, it's going to make you jump off the page,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's like from my experience when I was reviewing applications when I was at NAU and I was looking at essays,
Hmm.
two of the 17 essays that we reviewed actually were interesting, right? And
Yeah.
I think that probably holds true now.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't read every single person's PTCAS essay, but for the applicants that we work with, it's they you have some good pieces and it's there. We just have to polish it and re-chisel that story to make it stand out and really have that striking, grabbing intro. And then it leads into all these great attributes that you have as an applicant and things like that. So I think you're right. If you don't write a great essay, eh, well, maybe they'll remember you, maybe they won't, right? But
Right.
if you write a good one, you're guaranteeing that they're gonna at least be like, yeah, you know what? That was really interesting. We need to look at that application again
Right. Right. Yeah.
for sure. So, I mean, now we talked about like the benefit of physical therapy application coach. Let's talk about for pre-PTs that are getting ready to apply. Maybe
Yeah.
you have someone who's in a similar situation to yours, first generation student, immigrant individual coming over, parents immigrated to the US, wanting to make that path, right, and move forward. Whether it's whatever the situation, if you've got pre-PTs that are coming up ahead of you or coming up behind you, I should say, what would your advice be to them today?
Yeah, I would say just stay disciplined. Don't get discouraged. I think physical therapy, it's such a beautiful field where you get to really make a difference in people's lives and help them through tough times. You really help them rediscover themselves. But the hard part, I think, right now is trying to get there. All the schooling you have to get to, especially being an undergrad. The prereqs you have to take might be a bit discouraging because you see these heavy science classes. You're like, this has nothing to do with what I want to be for my career. But yeah, getting through all those prereqs, getting all these shadowing hours, it can be really discouraging. But I think it's something that you got to think of the end goal in mind and just think that this is the only way I can become a physical therapist is getting these classes done, seeking the connections to get the observation hours, doing other things to make your application stand out. So I would say if physical therapy is really a field that you're serious about, stay disciplined, try to embrace those tough times, remembering what the end goal is in mind. So
That's great. That's great. I think I love everything about that with being disciplined, having a plan, being like intentional with what you're doing.
yeah,
And it's okay that it's hard. I think sometimes pre-PTs are like,
yeah,
well, this is too difficult. I'm like, do you
yeah,
want this to be easy? Like, is it
yeah,
worth it if you don't have to push yourself to be better?
yeah,
And PT school is going to continue to do that
yeah,
at a higher clip, right? So you got to be able to be ready with being uncomfortable and pushing yourself outside of your boundaries of what you feel okay doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, I'm so excited for you, man. Indiana's blessed to be able to get you. You're going to do fantastic. Um, uh, Thank you so much for taking the time. You're a part of the physical therapy application coach family for life. If you need anything at all as you're going through school in your future career, we've had several videos where we've had pre-PTs finish PT school. They're getting ready to start their first job, and or they use our like the coaching tips that we gave them to help
Mhm.
them get an interview, go into their interview, dominate it, negotiate salaries, all that type of stuff. It's going to help you for the rest of your life. So don't forget the stuff we've taught you. It's going to help you. And if you need any assistance in the future, come on down. We'll talk to you, give you a boost, and just keep you going into this career. Excited to see what you do.
Thank you, Sean.